but I think it's important to hear the voices of the victims of that monster, Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell. So this is one of the victims who spoke in D.C. today. They held a press conference with Ro Khanna, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and others. And this is one of the survivors saying that she would compile her own list of abusers who frequented the island and plane.
Great moment.
Have a listen to this.
Transparency is justice. Release the files. End the secrecy and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us.
Really powerful stuff. So how is Donald Trump responding to all of this, Leonard? Well, moments after this press conference, Donald Trump was asked about these victims that were speaking out and about the Epstein files. The guy who's actually in the Epstein files, how does he respond to this? He calls it a hoax. Have a listen to this.
All run by Democrats, or for the most part run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein whatever. I understand.
Epstein whatever. He calls it a hoax while there are women outside of the White House just blocks away in Washington, D.C., talking about how they were victims of sexual assault. And you have this orange rapist ape, that's what I will call him, the orange orangutan rapist, who is saying that the Epstein files is a hoax. Here's another victim, Leonard, who came forward, who revealed that Jeffrey Epstein's biggest brag was the fact that he knew Donald Trump. Have a listen to this.
With Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends, their famous or powerful friends, and his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. Like, they were very close.
Go ahead. He was with Donald Trump, and what's Donald Trump's response about the files that were released? Oh yeah, by the way, what did the Republicans release? 3% of the Epstein files.
Or less.
Or less.
Some
meaningless,
say 1%.
Right, meaningless stuff. And Donald Trump decides to brag about that. Have a listen to this.
Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein whatever. I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough, because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having. I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from 2 people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
I actually believe you don't want to talk about Epstein, and yeah, you want to talk about this great 8 months. Notice how everything he does is deflection. Everything he does. And on that committee, that Republican committee, every single one of them voted to not release the Epstein files. They are covering for a pedophile. They are covering for a sexual abuser who I believe was involved in sex trafficking at Mar-a-Lago. And the last clip that I want to play, Leonard, then I want to get your thoughts on all of this. The last clip, I can't believe I'm going to say this, because I believe Marjorie Taylor Greene is a despicable, not I believe, I know. She's a racist, she's a bigot, she's homophobic.
Bad built butch body?
Yeah, she's a horrendous human being. But I have to give her credit on this one. Now, this is really interesting.
She's on the right side of this one.
I have a clip that I'm going to play for you because I think Manu Raju does a great job on CNN. This is mesmerizing audio. Yeah. So apparently Marjorie Taylor Greene self-admittingly, had a meeting with Donald Trump earlier today in the Oval Office, pleading with him, will you please meet with the victims? By the way, I applaud Marjorie Taylor Greene for doing this. I think it's admirable that she is doing this.
Yeah.
I think it's admirable that Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace, who I think are all despicable
And
people.
he said he'll get back to her, right?
Yeah. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is begging Trump, will you please meet with the victims of Jeffrey Epstein? And I want you to listen to this exchange. I do believe Marjorie Taylor Greene's telling the truth here. And Trump didn't even give her an answer. Geez, I wonder why. Have a listen to this.
And this isn't a hostile act towards the administration. The hostile act has been against these women for so many years now. The hostile act is covering up for Jeffrey Epstein and everyone else that's been involved in this. And that's the real hostile act. I look forward to talking with President Trump about these women that I've met. I also encouraged him already this morning that he should have these women in the Oval Office. They deserve to be there.
You spoke to him?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And I told him I'd be happy to set that up, arranging with their attorney by sharing his phone number.
What was his reaction to that?
I haven't got an answer back on that, but I am continuing to encourage him that these are the people that deserve to be in the Oval Office, not any of Jeffrey Epstein's rich, powerful friends.
We know what the answer
There
is.
you have one of the biggest staunch Donald Trump supporters pleading with the president, we have these Epstein victims, will you please meet with them? Donald Trump doesn't even give her an answer. Heck, Donald Trump might have actually abused some of these women himself. We don't know. And he doesn't give her an answer. Now, why would he not give her an answer? Why?
Because I'm thinking, according to the victims, that they might start naming names. And to watch those women go up there and bare their soul, so to speak, in front of everyone and stand there and tell the truth and stand up to power is mesmerizing. Like I couldn't take my eyes off the TV watching these women just lay it down.
And by the way, they're very brave. To be able to come forward like that
Incredible.
cannot be an easy thing to do. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump is in those Epstein files. I believe that Donald Trump had sex with underage women. I believe that Donald Trump is trying to do everything and anything he can do to stop this conversation, to end this conversation, which, by the way, it's not going to end. You even have some of Donald Trump's staunchest supporters in these three women.
Well,
Lauren
the Nancy Mace
Boebert
thing was a little embarrassing when
Well-
she went running down the hallway crying, and maybe she has a triggered her past.
Well,
but-
I don't really care
but
about-
She's not a great person.
No, I don't really care about her crying, but you have three of the biggest Trump supporters you can find that kiss his ass, and Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. They have to know. They have to know, even though I believe, especially Marjorie Taylor, were very ignorant. They have to know
Well,
that
women
Trump
know.
did some very wrongdoings, and he's in the Epstein files. They have to know. Marjorie Taylor Greene has to know, based on the way Trump didn't answer her question, that he is responsible for some of this stuff. They have to know.
Women have an intuition, and and women throughout my life, and even my wife, they admit that they get a certain feeling when they're around certain kind of men, and it makes them uncomfortable without knowing anything about their past. And then Donald Trump's trying to pivot, talking about how great. Well, let me ask you this: the tariffs are about to blow up in his face. He lost the court case. The tariffs are illegal, and if they have to pay him back, that's $200 billion. So when he's in the Oval Office trying to deflect away from Epstein with how great he's doing, he's not really doing great at all. And I believe that list is gonna probably push a lot of things to the limit, because these women are going to create a list, and like the woman said that was up at the mic, we know the guys. They sent us to their houses. We know who they are.
And I want all of you to think about this. Moments after this press conference, literally minutes.
A minute or two.
After Jeffrey Epstein victims, who were victims of sexual abuse, after they spoke about their stories, pleading with Donald Trump
in detail
to release the files, moments after that, Donald Trump was calling it a Democratic hoax.
But who
Can you
started the whole
imagine?
thing?
Can you imagine for a moment if, for example, the rumors were circulating? Let's use Joe Biden as an example here. And by the way, Joe Biden's nowhere near the Epstein files, and he didn't know Jeffrey Epstein, but I'm just using this as a hypothetical. Let's just say all this evidence was overwhelming that Joe Biden was on Epstein Island and he was in the Epstein files. And then moments after victims spoke out, Joe Biden called it a Republican hoax. Republicans would be losing their minds right now.
It would be in the news cycle 24 hours a day for
You see what
at
I'm
least
saying?
a week.
Yeah, it's unbelievable and it is unmistakable, unthinkable what Donald Trump continues to do. And I'm having a dispute with somebody who does this show that's on the right on social media today defending Donald Trump, telling me just because he's in the Epstein files doesn't mean he did anything wrong.
Well, we don't have proof yet. But who started this, Brian? That's what I didn't mean to interrupt you,
MAGA,
but
the
that's what I
MAGA
was going
cult.
to ask you.
The MAGA cult.
Who ran on this? Who got elected on this? That there's a cabal and it's Democrats and it's worldwide and it's a bunch of young girls and it's a sex cult or whatever they were calling it. He's acting like the Democrats for the ones
Listen,
who started this.
I'm going to tell you this right now.
Well,
I'm going to tell you this right now. We know. Here's what we know.
yeah, they scrubbed 100,000 pages.
Here's what we know. We know that Donald Trump is doing anything and everything he can do to not talk about the Epstein files. Number two, we know that Donald Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for over a decade. We also know that Jeffrey Epstein said that on tape. Number three, we know that Donald Trump spent a lot of time with Jeffrey Epstein, even at his parties with women. Number four, we know that there were very young girls that were working at Mar-a-Lago. We know of at least one girl that Jeffrey Epstein took away from Mar-a-Lago.
That Trump was upset about.
Number five, we know for a fact that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are not putting out the evidence that they have and that they know. And probably most important than anything that I have mentioned is that Donald Trump doesn't care about the victims. Because if he cared about the victims, even if he's in the Epstein files, which he is, he would speak to the victims and he would try to do anything and everything he could do to give them justice. Is there anybody out there that is still listening to Mark Levin? I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. Mark Levin might be one of the most pathetic and disgusting right-wing talk shows, and there's plenty of them, by the way. Sean Hannity, Clay Travis. There's plenty of idiots on the right that do radio shows. There's some in this town, too, that have like 5 listeners. I won't mention their names because it's not worth it. But Mark Levin, at one time, was obsessed with the Epstein files. Mark Levin, at one time, did entire shows about Jeffrey Epstein and all the Democrats are in the Epstein files. Let me be very clear about Mark Levin. Benjamin Netanyahu today could bomb the United States, and I believe Mark Levin would still defend the Israeli government. Mark Levin is a complete imbecile, and he has absolutely no credibility at all. He's an idiot. Are you a liberal? Sounds like a chipmunk. Are you a liberal? I'm a constitutionalist. Are you a liberal? Today we're going to interview Don Jr. It's going to be a revelation. It's going to be, what an interview. See, I only interview people that agree with me, that have zero credibility. Hi, I'm Mark Levin. Please watch my Fox News show on Sunday night. I promise you, I look as bad as I sound. I'm Mark Levin. I'm a constitutionalist. Is there anybody that still listens to this idiot? And Mark Levin is now saying that everybody out there that brings up the Epstein files is obsessed. But he's also saying that it's a distraction because what we really should be talking about is the Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Obamagate stuff. Folks, I am not making this up. Have a listen.
And for those of you who are obsessed with the Epstein case, you are the ones who are distracting us from the Obama-Hillary case. I don't know what your end game is with the Epstein case, but I know what my end game is here. That is justice, and that is a course correction for our country.
Mark Levin doesn't want you talking about the Epstein files. He wants you talking about Obamagate. Now let's keep in mind and review what Donald Trump has done in the last 6 months, the damage he has done to this country and some of the scandals. I mean, we could mention Signalgate, where nobody was held accountable to that. Who knows if Pete Hegseth will stay in his position for the next 3.5 years. His name is clearly all over the Epstein files, we've learned. He is literally stripping millions of people from their health care coverage that they absolutely and desperately need. And he's also taken bribes from his crypto brothers. Billions of dollars his family is making from this crypto Ponzi scheme, as I would like to call it. He's gutted food and water safety. He's literally built concentration camps, Alligator Alcatraz, for example. ICE is literally kidnapping people. That is what they are doing. Make no mistake about it. And he's deployed the military domestically. The war in Ukraine is still going on. He said it would be over in 24 hours. It's worse off now than it was on day one. He's coddled Vladimir Putin. He got us involved in a war between Iran and Israel. And the jobs report that came out was abysmal, the worst in 5 years. But Mark Levin doesn't want you talking about any of that stuff. What does Mark Levin want you talking about? Obamagate. Lock Hillary Clinton up. That's how much credibility Mark Levin has. He's never had any. Let's go to Herb. Herb is next on PTL. Hello, Herb.
Hey, Brian, I'm not calling to call you a lie or anything like that. You may have just got your facts mixed up. But they may not have shown it live, the press conference with the women on the Epstein files. Mm-hmm. But they did show them. In fact, I've seen about.
They did not cover the entire press conference. I never said they never showed.
Oh no, no, I didn't say they.
Okay,
no.
Okay, Herb.
Herb. But they did cover.
Herb.
They did. No, listen, Brian.
You don't listen
for
to
a
me.
goddamn change.
Okay, first of all, you're not going to swear.
What's the point?
Brian?
They did not. CNN, MSNBC, and every CBS and every national network covered the entire press conference. The only large network. Hold on. The only large network in that category that did not cover the entire press conference. In fact, they covered very little of the press conference and then backed away from it was Fox News.
I'm not arguing that. You might be very right on that. All I'm saying is that they did cover it. They just didn't cover the whole thing. They were covered.
Okay, well, Herb, what's the point? Like, do you agree that the Epstein files should not be released so they can protect the guilty people?
So Herb, here's what I mean by covered. Herb, let me explain. I need you to listen for a moment, okay, Herb? Herb, let me explain. Herb, you got to let me explain. You see, I was a journalist for 10 years. Herb, you have to stop talking, and then I will let you speak. We can't talk both at the same time. Herb, I will let you speak. Give me 30 seconds to make my point. Thank you. So when I say cover something, I was a journalist for 10 years. Here's how you cover something. You cover the entire press conference, okay, which all the other big networks did, and then you have a roundtable discussion on it, and you have journalists that discuss it after the press conference. You actually break it down. That's coverage, okay? That's what you would do in a presidential debate. That's what you do in a large press conference after a school massacre. That's covering an event. You cover the press conference and then you break it down. Fox News not only didn't do that, they didn't cover the entire press conference. They didn't have any analysts talking about it afterwards. Instead, they decided to pan to military planes that were flying over the White House. That's not covering the press conference. What happened, Herb, because I've been in the news business for a long time, is they covered a few minutes of the press conference. And then producers said, let's cut away from this and let's go to something else because they didn't want to make Donald Trump look bad. And they knew that's what many of their listeners like you did not want to see because it makes Donald Trump look bad. And it shows that some people have compassion for victims. That's what's covering. You're not covering a press conference when you cover 5% of it and then pan to airplanes. Do you understand that, Herb?
Right, I understand that. They do that all the time. CNN does that all the time.
They didn't do that today.
But why? Why did they not cover it? That's what's important, Herb.
Leonard, shut up and listen.
Don't tell one of my. Don't tell somebody.
Herb, look, I don't mean to make a good point and make you look bad, but at the same time, what is the reason why you even care?
Yeah, then he hangs up the phone. Okay, let me tell you something.
Did he hang up?
This is what MAGA callers do. Let me explain to you what we just witnessed here.
Sorry.
From someone who has a journalism degree, okay, who majored in communications, that's not covering a press conference. He said CNN does it all the time. Explain to me why CNN covered it today and didn't do that. Explain to me why MSNBC didn't do that today. Explain to me why CBS and NBC didn't do that today. Because it was a very important press conference and they actually covered it. But Herb wants to call in and say, you're wrong, Brian. They covered 30 seconds of the press conference, so they covered it. No, Herb, they didn't cover it. No, Herb, CNN and MSNBC, CBS, NBC covered the press conference. The entire But your Fox Noise, the same Fox Noise who was sued and had to pay out almost $1 billion to Dominion voting machines, The reason why they're still in business, Fox News, is because of people like you, people that are uneducated, ill-informed, that believe the things that you hear and see on Fox News, because you're a very uneducated man, you're not intelligent, and you make excuses for Donald Trump.
Thanks for calling, Herb.
Yeah, it was fun. Fun, Herb, as always.